What it do, peeps? What it do is the Big Chef. I wanted to jump on here real quick. I know they announced Caitlin Clark's out for the season. People were actually wondering why the announcement came when it came, and they were shocked. I'm gonna give it to you plain and simple. Caitlin Clark did the league and the networks a favor. Plain and simple. One, she was injured. No need to put her back in the harm's way with this league being in shark mode. That's one. Two, if you think about it, you have to go back to March. In March, ESPN did a deal with the WNBA to carry a set number of games, including the All Star game and the playoffs. A lot of YouTubers were asking why wasn't ESPN talking about the WNBA, Stephen A. Smith in particular. The answer is simple. They did 26 games. Of those 26 games, the Fever were featured in 10 of them. Caitlin Clark played in 5. The last game she played in was the game against Connecticut when she pulled her groin and was visibly shaken. They carried the All-Star game. So they missed out on the All-Star game. The next game that was going to be on ESPN was against the New York Liberty. She missed that game, and she's missed every game since. Now, if you remember, I made a video back in August saying, wow, ESPN is starting to transition, and now they're starting to pump up Paige. Well, the reason why is because Paige was going to be one of the teams that was going to play the Fever during this window of games. The last game of that contract is September 9th. The Indiana Fever play the Minnesota Lynx in Minnesota. She will not make that game. So, to help the league out and to help the networks, Caitlin Clark held off on the decision until the perfect time, September 4th, the start of the NFL season. Now the news cycle is busy talking about NFL. She floats it out there, it catches a buzz, but it's not that big. It's not that big. If you've been watching these Fever games and been watching the WNBA, people have been waiting and waiting for Caitlin Clark to show up. You remember in July and early August, they would always show you Caitlin Clark signing autographs. Well, that went on for about 3 weeks, and the game started getting old. You notice they don't show that anymore. They haven't shown you her giving out autographs in weeks, and that's because it was a gimmick. It was a keep alive signal to keep everything kosher until the NFL window came, and then they would transition. See, they only have contracts with Ion and Amazon. That's the reason why you see those games on those channels primarily. ESPN only had a small amount of games. So ESPN only cares about the few games that they got. They don't have to talk about the WNBA because they're not contracted to talk about the WNBA to that level until the All-Star game, the 26 games that they contracted for, and the playoffs. The playoffs have not started, so ESPN doesn't care if Caitlin Clark is not playing. And that's what I told those bloggers online. Caitlin Clark moves the needle. Caitlin Clark is the needle. And with that, they understood, hey, she's not going to play. That's the reason why in August, when y'all heard Stephanie White doing the double talk and Scott Agnes, they were making up excuses, and everybody was like, man, we can't get anything accurate out of it. You weren't going to get anything accurate out of it because they couldn't tell you the truth. The truth is the networks and the league worked together. They knew Caitlin Clark was not going to play. They knew that the whole time. Let's just keep it under wraps. We still got tickets to sell. If you've noticed any of the games, even today's game against the Washington Mystics, the camera angle on the game was steadily focused on the court. It was not focused on the crowd because they don't want to show you the crowd. They just said that it was a capacity crowd. The life of the league has been drained out once that announcement went public. Games, there's no excitement at a lot of these games. The Valkyrie game, with the exception, their crowds are rowdy. This Mystics game today, there wasn't 14,000 people in that crowd. You could hear the public announcer. You could hear Odyssey Sims yelling on the court because there's no crowd there. There's no excitement. There's no air. There's no excitement in the air. Caitlin Clark breathed life into this league. And with every game that Caitlin Clark missed, the excitement left. The only reason why people were in those seats because they prepaid for those tickets months in advance because they thought Caitlin Clark was going to play. And then some of them just didn't even show up. But now it's football season. Now they can use football season as the excuse to just say, hey, well, the Commanders are playing. Hey, the Arizona Cardinals are playing. That's the reason why nobody was at the Phoenix game. They can use that excuse now because it's valid and you'll buy it. But the truth is, Caitlin Clark hadn't been there in weeks and attendance had been dropping. Viewership was already low without Caitlin Clark. So it dropped. The 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 advertisement a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Oh, there's been the most number of uh, attendance records in WNBA history." Well, you added a new team and you added more games. Of course, if a new team comes and they have 17,000 fans showing up at a game every day, yes, you're going to set a new attendance record. That don't mean that there's people flocking to the league. In the overall scheme, Caitlin Clark still is the attendance driver. They don't sell out Dallas when the Valkyries show up. Dallas doesn't sell out when Connecticut shows up. Dallas sells out when Caitlin Clark shows up. And if Caitlin Clark is on an autograph tour, that can only work for so long. And then people are like, man, I don't care. I wanted to see her play. Everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark play. The league knows that and the owners know that. But they had to stay quiet. Caitlin Clark went along with it because she's a good steward of the game. So she did what was best for the game. What was best for the game was to give people hope. In sports, hope drives fans. Dreams drive fans. Sports leagues and media are dream sellers. They sold everybody a dream, a hope that Caitlin Clark would come back. Caitlin Clark had to stay silent for the sake of the league. So she had to save her league. Caitlin Clark loves her league more than her league loves her. That's it, folks. I'll leave the link to the article where ESPN lays out what they did in the description, and you'll see the games, every game that was supposed to be played or was played. You'll see it all. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, peace.